Welcome to the 2025 Chain of Survival. My name's Andy Sabin. I'm the medical officer at Richland Fire, and I'm excited to celebrate this event with everybody here. It looks like the snow day not only prevented people from coming, but all the extra kids and stuff came, so this is awesome. To get started, I'm going to invite up Chaplain Bill Lotz to do a prayer for us, and he's one of the chaplains here for the community.
Thank you, Andy. It is great to be able to represent our chaplain program here. It's also just great to be a part of this community. And that's really one of the things this event really emphasizes is the way community works together in so many different ways. I'd like to offer a prayer. I'm actually a survivor as well of the system. Mine didn't go far enough to need CPR. It was caught early. But the same system was put in place of early detection and early intervention and early treatment. And so I'm thankful to be here as well. I'm going to voice a prayer. Anytime I'm with a group like this, I realize there's no way I could represent everyone's faith background. But I'll offer a prayer from my own and just invite you to pause with me. God, we do thank you for a celebration of life, a celebration of preservation of life. And God, we thank you for your blessings upon this community in the resources that have been developed to care for one another. And God, to me, that just really is a picture of what community is all about. We thank you for being able to be a part of this community. We thank you for those attending, the families represented, and the caregivers that are represented today. Your blessings upon them. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Bill. In honor of our country, we don't always do it, but we're going to rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance. So, gentlemen, please remove your hats. I'd like to invite up Chief Huntington to say a few words.
All right, well, good morning and welcome. Appreciate everybody braving the snowy and icy roads this morning to get here and to celebrate this with us this morning. We come together to celebrate positive outcomes as related to cardiac events in our community. And we don't have those positive outcomes that we're here to acknowledge and celebrate without the chain of survival that this event is named after. That includes everybody that is sitting here in the room. It includes our 911 dispatchers. It includes our citizens who recognize the emergency happening and calling 911 and initiating CPR while we're waiting for our uniformed first responders to arrive. It, of course, includes all of our first responders, both law enforcement and EMS. And then none of that finishes the job without our friends and partners at our regional hospitals, and we have Cadillac Regional Medical Center team here with us today to help celebrate as well. As the chief of this organization, there are so many good things here, so many amazing employees, and so many things to love about this community, but this program and what we've accomplished together is, to me, really one of the highlights of my entire career, and I think the pinnacle of an example of what we can do together when we focus on something that has a benefit to the community that we live in and play in and serve together. So thank you, everybody, for your contribution to what we're celebrating today. I would be remiss in thanking our first responders if I don't also thank the families of our first responders who are here and also the families who are not. You are our rock and our foundation, and you are the support system that allows us to come to work every day and do the work that we do, and the support that allows our first responders to be out on the street delivering this care. So thank you to all of you as well. I want to acknowledge specifically our CCOM dispatchers that are here with us today. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you as part of this celebration. Our uniformed responders, we have representatives not just from Richland Fire and Emergency Services, but from agencies across the region, as well as law enforcement representatives who have been involved in cardiac saves as well. We're very excited to have everybody here. I want to welcome again our partners and friends from Cadillac Regional Medical Center. This is not possible without the care that we provide together and the team effort that we've taken on so many initiatives in this arena together over the last many years. And I also want to thank specifically the lay rescuers, the community members who were part of this chain of survival, who again recognized the event, called 911, and initiated CPR. As part of this program, we've trained 55,000 community members on hands-only CPR. This doesn't work. We don't come together and celebrate that without the investment of the community that we have here and that commitment to helping us produce these kinds of results together. So to all of you, again, thank you. Specifically, I want to welcome and acknowledge some of our city leadership. We have Drew Florence here, our Assistant City Manager, somewhere right over here. Jay Atwood, our Executive Director for Benton County Emergency Services. John Amundsen, our City Manager, wanted to be here today, but was unable to make it because of the weather. But a sincere thank you to all of our city leadership and our City Council for the support and endorsement and contribution to these programs and their success as well. Thank you, enjoy the program, and I will hand it back over to Andy now.
What is a chain of survival ceremony? This ceremony is the culmination of a shared vision throughout our community to save lives from sudden cardiac arrest. This ceremony is about celebrating life, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. We get to celebrate those lives that were nearly taken from us had it not been for high-quality care provided by all rescuers involved, from bystanders to dispatchers, police officers, all the way through to hospital staff. We celebrate the fact that our survivors can celebrate birthdays, holidays, family reunions, special events with their loved ones. We celebrate the lives from cardiac arrest that were saved and recognize the dedication of our EMS responders and other providers. Every year, nearly 356,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests occur in the U.S., nearly 1,000 every day. When someone goes into cardiac arrest and it is unwitnessed, the national survival rate is 11%. If the cardiac arrest is witnessed along with bystander CPR, that survival rate increases to approximately 32% nationwide. When everything goes right and a cardiac arrest is witnessed by a bystander and they're given CPR, in Richland, our survival rate was 75%. I just gave you a lot of numbers, some good, some bad, but are they just numbers? These numbers are the what, they're the measurement, but I want to tell you the why. Why do we do what we do? Why do we save people's lives? I can tell you in one sentence. Since 2020, we have saved 37 people from sudden cardiac arrest. That's our why. That's our reason. I want to tug at your heartstrings a little bit more than that, though. Out of those 37 people that we've saved, 9 of them have been under the age of 21. All these lives are people. They're kids, they're moms, they're grandparents. They're not just statistics, and we need to think about that. This is the chain of survival as described by the American Heart Association. This chain represents all the links that need to be in place for our community to have the best chance at survival. It includes activation of the 911 system, high-quality CPR, defibrillation, advanced resuscitation, post-cardiac care, and recovery. Each link is directly tied to the next. As we look around this room, we have representatives from every link in this chain, and each of you have contributed to saving lives in some way or another. As we evaluate each component, the first link in the chain is the activation of the 911 system. Rapid recognition of someone in cardiac arrest and activation of 911 is key to cardiac arrest survival. Southeast Communications, or CCOM, is the 911 center for Benton Franklin County. Being a dispatcher is a difficult job. When someone calls 911 in the setting of cardiac arrest, they're often unconsolable. Our 911 dispatchers have to calm the chaos and be able to coach them through CPR if it is needed. Because of their commitment to excellence, they are able to calm it and provide life-saving instruction to coach the caller through 911 telecommunicator CPR. Many states struggle in the U.S. with setting standards to do telecommunicator CPR. That's not the case. In Benton Franklin County, when you call to report someone in cardiac arrest, be assured that you will get somebody who is trained to teach you through hands-only CPR. We have 3 dispatchers in attendance today who are part of telecommunicator CPR resulting in life-saving resuscitation. If our CCOM representatives and dispatchers would please stand, we want to thank you and recognize you for everything you've done. If I have to stand up here and deliver this, you guys can stand for applause. So, the next 2 link in the chain of survival are high-quality CPR and defibrillation. When sudden cardiac arrest strikes, every second counts, because for every minute that goes by, your chances of survival decrease by 10%. Brain damage will start to set in after 4 to 6 minutes, and it's irreversible after 10. Studies show us that immediate use of an AED combined with CPR can drastically increase the likelihood of survival. This means that when someone has sudden cardiac arrest, they're highly dependent on the community to help them. HeartSafe Richland is a public education initiative to teach hands-only CPR and AED use. Our motto for HeartSafe Richland is don't wait for help, be the help. We want to empower our community to take action in the setting of sudden cardiac arrest. We know that the key to survival is to educate and engage our community and provide them with the necessary tools to be successful. Tom stole a little bit of my numbers here, but to date, HeartSafe has trained over 55,000 people in the community to do hands-only CPR, which is pretty cool. Part of our HeartSafe initiative involves placing 24/7 public access AEDs and save stations throughout our communities. AEDs are safe for anyone to use, and if you do not need to be a trained responder to use one. We placed our first 24/7 public access AED in Howard Amon Park in September of 2022. Our newest one was just placed in the Columbia Playfields, and that makes it our 5th one in the city that the public can access. Because every second counts, police officers play a vital role in the chain of survival. They are notified of every cardiac arrest that occurs within the city. Our RPD brothers and sisters sometimes refer to us as second responders, a nod to them beating us to the scene. We'll happily accept that defeat if they can get there before us and start compressions. Not only can they start CPR, but Richland police officers also carry AEDs in their patrol cars. This combination of CPR and early defibrillation, if needed, gives our citizens the best opportunities to survive sudden cardiac arrest. We appreciate the Richland and Kennewick police officer and all police officers for their commitment to our shared vision of increasing sudden cardiac arrest. Any members of the police department, could you please stand so we can recognize you? The 4th link in the chain is advanced resuscitation, and this represents our firefighter, paramedics, and EMTs, who are dedicated to improving their craft and delivering the best pre-hospital medicine possible. A big reason why we have a successful EMS system in our area is because our medical program director, Dr. Kevin Hodges. Since becoming our medical program director, Dr. Kevin Hodges has raised the bar of EMS performance in our region. He is an advocate for staying in the forefront of EMS care and holds a high standard for EMS providers. Dr. Hodges has the same desire and shared vision to improve survival from sudden cardiac arrest. He has been a strong supporter of HeartSafe Richland initiative. Dr. Hodges, actually in my notes says he couldn't make it today, but because of the snow, he's here. So Dr. Hodges, thank you for everything. I'd like to recognize the role that our local hospitals play in the chain of survival, which is the 5th link representing post-cardiac arrest care. As EMS providers, our care ends once we transport the patient to the emergency department, but it's where it begins for the doctors, nurses, and staff. Here locally, we are thankful to have 2 level 1 cardiac centers, Cadlick Regional Medical Center and Trios Health. Because Cadlick is our closest hospital, we have developed a strong working relationship and have collaborated on many fronts to improve the outcomes for our community members. Cadlick has been a strong supporter of HeartSafe Richland and is also out in the community teaching hands-only CPR. I know we have a few members from Cadlick here today, and I'd like to recognize the work you do to improve cardiac arrest survival in our community. With the help of Erica and Tatum, we were able to invite some of the providers that played a specific role in our survivors here today that we are celebrating. Thank you for your partnership and the great working relationship that we have. I'm personally grateful for this, so thank you for everything you do for this community. sometimes I feel a little guilty that we as EMS get to stand up here and deliver this and kind of be the face of it, but it takes everybody. And so maybe with some approval from somebody, if City Manager Amundsen can up my coin budget, maybe we could give coins to everybody at the hospital too, but I'll have to get approval for that first. So, the final link in the chain of survival is recovery. This is not only physical recovery from cardiac arrest, but emotional recovery as well. Having and surviving sudden cardiac arrest is an emotional experience. This certainly affects the mental health of our survivors, but also the mental health of their families and the EMS providers. We have access to chaplains for every cardiac arrest call. They play a vital role in helping us and the family on scene as well as afterwards. They're here for us as EMS providers and play an intricate role in critical incident stress management along with our peer support teams. Our Richland peer support team is made up of firefighters who are trained in critical incident stress management. They provide support for our members in their time of need. Any chaplains and any members of the peer support team, if you could please stand so we can acknowledge your contribution as well. The links to the chain of survival have always existed, but it hasn't been until recently we have brought these links together after the emergency. My role has given me the pleasure and opportunity to connect with survivors after their cardiac arrest, to coordinate and follow up with hospital and staff, and with this ceremony, hopefully present a sense of closure to everything that's gone on. John Maxwell says, "Culture eats vision for lunch." Vision is what we see, but culture is what we do. We're not done, but we've built a culture at Richland where when we get dispatched to a cardiac arrest call, we believe that we're going to save that person's life. We want that to bleed over to the community, and we want to be the safest one that there is. With any program or project, we consistently seek input and feedback on how to make things better. This ceremony is no different. We receive feedback that our previous cardiac arrest survivors, that they might want to come back to future events. They indicated that it might be too potent and powerful the first time around and that they can get more out of it the second time. This year, we invited some previous survivors. I'm not sure if I caught any of them that came through. Is there any previous cardiac arrest survivors here today? We had a list of a few that were going to show up, but this event is always open for survivors to come back because it is different the second time around. You can see on the screen the silver challenge coin that has our Richland Fire logo and our mission statement to protect and enhance the quality of life. The other side is our Heart Safe Richland logo with the words, "Don't wait for help, be the help." These coins are given only to the bystander rescuers, first responders, and EMS personnel, and those directly involved in saving a life from cardiac arrest. This is our survivor's coin. This coin is only given out to cardiac arrest survivors. It has the same Richland Fire logo on one side with our mission statement, but the reverse states that they're a cardiac arrest survivor. We have 10 cardiac arrest saves that we will be honoring today for the year 2024. All 10 survivors were brought to Catholic Regional Medical Center for post-resuscitation care. These 10 survivors were all neurologically intact, which means they are living a life today as they were prior to their cardiac arrest, with little or no deficits. It looks like we have 5 of our survivors that were able to join us today, and we're grateful for their presence. We will recognize each survivor in chronological order, and I'll read a brief description of the event. For those survivors that are here when I call your name up, please come to the front, and then after we do some handing off of the coin, we'll invite the rescuers who are involved in your care up as well. Providers, survivors, and family, if you'd like to say a few words, you're more than welcome to. We'll make that happen. So I don't think this survivor was able to come today. On March 24th, Medic 1723, Medic 1721, and BC 171 were dispatched to an unresponsive patient. Upon arrival, our survivor was in cardiac arrest with compressions being performed by the reporting party. Our survivor was in cardiac arrest for 13 minutes and defibrillated 4 times before her heart began beating on its own. She was stabilized and transported to Catholic for post-resuscitation care, where she spent 3 weeks and ultimately had an internal defibrillator placed for an underlying heart rhythm. Our survivor, Shady Holloway. I'd like to invite up the crews involved in saving her life. From Richland Fire, Chris Denny, Colton Roney, Kyle Felmley, Chris Roney, Joe Owens, Justin Carvito, and James Hempstead. Come on up, guys. This is why the tissue boxes were on the tables. On April 26th, Medic 1721, Medic 1723, Medic 1725, and BC 171 were dispatched to an asthma attack. When Medic 1723 arrived, the call was upgraded to a breathing stoppage and crews began resuscitation. Our survivor suffered a severe asthma attack which led from respiratory to cardiac arrest. He received 8 minutes of CPR, and after intubation, his heart began beating on its own. He was transported to Cadillac, where he spent 3 weeks and was transferred to a skilled nursing facility for further rehab. Our survivor was not able to attend today, but I'd like to invite up the crews involved in saving his life. Henry Foster, James Stovall, Justin Carvito, Raul Mariquin, Tim Estelle, Jason Garrison, Steve Austin, AJ Fandrich, Trent Nelson, and Brenda Rogers. On May 2nd, Medic 1722 and Engine 1812 were dispatched to a breathing stoppage in Kennewick. Our survivor was receiving CPR from Tim, which continued until KPD officer Caleb Christensen arrived to perform hands-only CPR, until our EMS crews arrived. Our survivor suffered VFib cardiac arrest and was resuscitated for 16 minutes, including 1 defibrillation before his heart began beating on its own. He was stabilized and transported to Cadillac, where during his 10-day stay, he received cardiac bypass for a blockage that caused his cardiac arrest. He's alive and well. Please welcome our survivor, Richard Quigley. I promised Richard he'd get to see somebody go through it first, so thanks, Shady. Okay, this is a long list, but here we go. His rescuers: Chris Roney, Matthew Jubb, Zach Weinert, Eric Center, from KFD, River Pereira, Evan Hurling, Jeremy Fenno, KPD officer Caleb Christensen, bystander CPR giver Tim, and from our 911 dispatch center, Colleen Jackson. On May 4th, Medic 1721 and BC 171 were dispatched to a newborn baby just delivered and having difficulty breathing. Crews arrived to find Dad performing quality CPR. Crews provided oxygen, clamped and cut the cord, and moved Mom and baby to the ambulance for transport. During transport, baby had another run of slow heart rate that required compressions, which returned to normal before arrival to Cadillac. After stabilization, our survivor was flown to Sacred Heart for further care. We were able to find and treat the cause of her arrest. Our survivor is happy and healthy 9-month-old Ava. Please come up, Ava Christensen. I'd like to invite up the rescuers on this save: Chris Denny, John Togiai, Kyle Felmley, James Hempstead, and the father of Ava, Blake. On June 7th, Medic 1721, Medic 2823, and multiple other units were dispatched to a drowning on the Pasco side of the Columbia River. Our survivor was under the water for approximately 10 minutes before a fishing boat was able to reach him and deliver him to shore, where he received 6 minutes of CPR. Crews were able to stabilize him and began warming efforts while en route to Cadillac. Our survivor spent only 1 night in the hospital before he was sent home the next day with no lasting effects. Please welcome our survivor, Ahmed Muhammad Ali. And the award for best dressed goes to... Okay, I'd like to invite up the crews from RFD and Pasco Fire: John Walling, Jacob Croshaw, Joel Murillo, Brian Winston, Kanan Sugden, Michael Kruger, and from our 911 dispatch center, not sure if Jaden Betcho was here. Again, these are just great representatives of the way this community works together, whether it's different fire departments, the 911 dispatch center. I tried my hardest to track down this fisherman that helped do this. So if anyone has a lead on him, let me know. But it's just awesome that everybody can do this and work together. On July 2nd, Medic 1724, Medic 1723, and BC 171 were dispatched to a possible breathing stoppage. Upon arrival, our survivor and the crews were able to work to stabilize him and load him for transport. During the transport to Cadlick, crews witnessed our survivor go into VTAC cardiac arrest and quickly defibrillated him and initiated resuscitation efforts. He was moved into the ER at Cadlick, where at handoff, the hospital continued to resuscitate him for 30 more minutes and delivered 3 more shocks before our survivor's heart began beating on its own. After a 1-week stay in the hospital, he was discharged home with no deficits and is doing well today. Our survivor was unable to make today's event, but I'd like to invite up the crews involved in saving his life. From Richland Fire, Dave Pemberton, Josh Jordan, Matt Baker, Trevor Hinkle, Josh Patterson, Jen Dawson, Emily Nikora, and Joe DeRossi. On July 21st, Medic 1722 was dispatched to back pain after a fall. After arriving and assessing our survivor, while getting him moved to the cot, he had a witnessed VFib cardiac arrest. The crew quickly began compressions, applied the defib pads, and shocked him 1 time, which helped his heart start beating on its own. The crew transported our survivor to Cadlick, where he was treated for sepsis and pneumonia. After 1 week stay, he was transferred to a skilled nursing facility to continue rehab. He's alive and well today. Please welcome our survivor, Gary Meerdink. And I'd like to invite up the crew that saved his life: Noah Bowen, Walter Greer, and John Tilgiai. On July 23rd, Medic 1723, Medic 1721, and Battalion Chief 171 were dispatched to a breathing stoppage. Crews arrived to find our survivor and began life-saving efforts. After 20 minutes of CPR, his heart began beating on its own, and he was packaged for transport to Cadlick. He was further stabilized at Cadlick, and after a 3-week stay, left the hospital and is returned to a normal life. Our survivor is not able to attend today, but I'd like to invite up the crews that were involved in saving his life. Ryan Berkheimer, Kelsey Hann, Jordan Stromstead, Tim Estelle, Raul Mariquin, Justin Carvito, Phoebe Markley, Ethan Wickstrom, and James Hempstead. On September 11th, Medic 1722, Medic 1823, and Battalion Chief 171 were dispatched to a breathing stoppage. Our survivor's wife received dispatcher's CPR instruction and performed CPR until EMS crews arrived. Our crews provided resuscitation for 18 minutes and defibrillated his heart 3 times before it began beating on its own. He was stabilized and transported to Cadlick, where he spent the next 14 days and received an internal defibrillator to regulate any irregular heart rhythms. Our survivor is alive and well, even golfing most days, I hear. Please welcome our survivor, John Bongers. And I'd like to invite up crews from Richland and Kennewick: Dave Pemberton, Kelsey Hann, Zach Weinert, Brenda Rogers, Rob Stokel, Jeff Clausen, and his wife Diane. And from our 911 dispatch center, Sam Letourneau. The first time I went to visit John after his cardiac arrest, Diane opened the door and started crying as soon as she saw me. Thank you, guys. On October 16th, Medic 1722, Medic 1724, and BC 171 were dispatched to a breathing stoppage. Crews arrived and began resuscitation efforts. Early in the process, crews recognized the fistula on the survivor and gave an alternative medication which helped lead to his heart beating again on its own. CPR was performed for 22 minutes. He was stabilized and transported to Cadillac for post-arrest care. He was treated for sepsis and metabolic imbalance and later transferred to a skilled nursing facility before returning home. Our survivor was not able to make today's ceremony, but I'd like to invite up the crews that were there to save his life. Josh Smith, Darren Larpenter, Cody Keaton, Pete Zukowski, Chad Miller, Brenda Rogers, Brock Nelson, AJ Frandrich, and from our 911 dispatch center, Chloe Young. This something unique about this call is our relationship with Dr. Hodges. The day before this cardiac arrest, he was at Richland giving a specific lecture on cardiac arrest, and we had talked about metabolic imbalances and kind of what could be the cause of cardiac arrest. And two of us on that call immediately identified that, and that contributed to that person being here today. So kudos to the relationship that we have with Dr. Hodges. So thank you everyone for coming. I again want to remind us of the why. In this setting, it's super easy. The why is 1-year-old Kaysen, it's 12-year-old Bree, it's 5-year-old Moreno, 11-year-old Ahmed, or newborn Ava. All these kids and more are here because of the chain of survival and everything that we do to put into it. Feel free to stick around and get some goodies, take pictures, and talk. As I close, if we could have Richland Fire and EMS stand up, and also our cardiac arrest survivors for one last round of applause. Thank you for braving the weather to get here. Drive safe. As I tell my daughter, slow and steady wins the race. So just be careful. Thank you, guys.